Hello and welcome to episode 279 of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDadFF. We got a great show lined up for you. For a lot of you, it is elimination week. We're talking week 14. It's make or break time. We're going to tell you guys that are going to put you into position. We're going to tell you if you should be trading your 25 first or not. You know, ways to get yourself into that smash position, into the playoffs. Looking at it from both angles. Nobody better to chop that up with than my main man, Snoog. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, Dad. I'm excited. I still have a couple 25 firsts lingering, so I'm going to take the advice that we do and talk about today and apply it to my own leagues because that time's rolling around. We're a week removed from being in the first week of playoffs for those that don't have bye weeks. And I lost 4 bye week teams last night to Jerry Jeudy and Jameis Winston decided to turn into prime Randy Moss and Tom Brady. So,
you know what's wild is this is the first week in about 6 or 7 weeks where I feel like this is where you have the dynasty make or break time. You know, like there's been we've educated people so much. We've had so many people really just trying to come out and say, you know, what am I doing with this? What am I doing with that particular team? Chief on YouTube just said 100%. You know, like you guys that are on there, we're going to do a show. It's 25 firsts and playoff push, but it's super chats only, you know, so we're going to try to answer questions, but we're going to do our best, you know. So what we want to talk about, Snoog, is when do we trade those 25 first? Everybody in the Discord, everybody I talked to on Twitter, they said, you and Snoog keep saying, wait, hold that 25 first. And now is your time. If you've made it there and you are a top 4 seed, I'm willing to trade my 24 first or 25 first. If I'm the 5-6 seed and I'm not 100% in, it's got to be someone that puts me over the top. It's got to be someone that, you know what, this is going to be the guy that's going to make me win this week, put me into the playoffs and kind of move forward. So how do you go about, because a lot of guys are saying, hey, you know, guy wants to trade me James Conner a second for my first. And I don't like those kind of moves. I like those moves where today I spent a 25 first that's going to be 110 to 112 for James Cook. Because James Cook in a PPC league is a killer. Like that's somebody that's going to win you your league. James Conner could win your league, but when you take him at his age and you make it a 25 second plus Conner, I don't like making those moves as much.
Yeah, first thing I want to say for all the listeners, the hype built up to it. I did take Dad down and smash 9.
He did.
I took the one seed. I dropped 235 points and it started off with a 35-point Jonnu Smith week.
I put up what? Yeah, you stole Jonnu Smith.
I put up what, 200?
I had 195 and freaking lost to you. In that league, I'm number 1 in points. It's not even close, and I'm the 3 seed.
That was the only league I was paying attention to this week. Like I was like, let's go. Like, Najee, keep giving him the ball. It's 0.25 per carry.
I was so pissed is that I was like, I went 19-2 this week in 21 leagues. And that one, I was like, damn it. I even went into the group chat. And I'm like, I can't do this.
I was on a heater and back-to-back weeks, I was on a heater. I literally won in every single league I'm contending in back-to-back weeks, even with tough matchups in some of my higher stake money leagues. And then this week, I was looking like the same thing, and I literally lost like 6 matchups all because of that Broncos game. And I lost like 3 or 4 bye weeks. I was like, how are all these teams starting so many damn Broncos players in the first place? Like, none of those guys are cracking my starting lineups in my leagues. But
nothing's worse, right, than when you have a banger team. I mean, you know, you're loaded. You have Jamar Chase. You have Jefferson. You have Bijan. You have Gibbs. And they go out there and start Winston, Jeudy, and Njoku and just freaking destroy you. And that's what sucks about the playoffs. That's why I'm willing to trade my first if it's going to get me a bye. I'm willing to trade my first if it's going to put me into position because I don't want to get Amari Cooper this year. You know, Jerry Jeudy is the freaking reminder that you can get Amari Cooper at any point. You know, and it doesn't even matter. You know, someone's going to have MVS is going to put up 22 and you're going to be like, what the hell? Like my team was built to perfection.
Ridiculous.
So
you do all this work all year and it's good 99% of the time. And it's that 1 week in the playoffs that'll kick you right out of it. It's insane.
I always say it's skills to get in and then it's luck once you get in there because there is going to be a lot of luck. There's a lot that goes into it. But once you're, you know, we have a lot of teams here that you and I have that just, if we lose, it's a tragedy. But what I really want to talk about is I want to talk about these 25 first. So we've had some shows right now. Right now we are looking at 101, 102, it's Ashton Junchi and it's Tet McMillan. I don't have anybody else close right now. I think even the distance between 1-2, and I told you I did this in a couple of leagues, and I'm right now, Snoog, for those rebuilding teams, I'm tinkering. I'm playing games. I'm going out there right now in the one league. I am 18 points up. I have the 101. He has the 102. So I'm blowing it up. I am making sure that
people.
You know what? I'm making sure that I don't have a running back that's going to put up a point this week. I'm making sure I'm going to have no tight ends put up points this week because I've traded Chigakonkwo for a fourth. And I traded, I'm trading guys that, they're roster cloggers. Let's be honest. They're just guys that are going to be hanging out on my bench. And they're better than a fourth. But I said any fourth takes these guys and just started shipping them off. Because when it gets to that 101, Junty goes to the Cowboys. Junty goes to, one of these prime landing spots. You're going to be like, damn, I wish I had the 101. Tet McMillan's going to be really good at 102. But let's even look at it this year as 102 was Marvin Harrison. Caleb Williams didn't quite pan out at 101, but there's still a value difference, and I think every single year we look at that and there's going to be guys to hit 102 through 112 for sure. But 101 is what you want because what you can do with it, right? Because most years to move from 101 to 103, you're going to get an extra first. And let's say you're really quarterback needy. Then you go back there and you get Shedeur, you get Cam Ward, and you move up. But 101 and 102, a lot of guys, Snoop, they're asking me, they say, you know what? I have the 102. Should I trade it for an asset into the playoffs? If it's not Bijan, Jefferson, Chase, Gibbs, if it's not one of about 8 guys, the answer is no. You hold on to that 101. You hold on to that 102. Another question I keep getting is one guy said to me today, he goes, would you trade the 101? Because he said you've been big on James Cook. And I said, I am for the playoffs. He said, would you trade the 101 for James Cook in the 112? And I was like, no. If you don't win it all, that's the move, Snoog, that keeps you up at night. It's like losing to Snoog in Smash 9. I can't sleep. If I go out there and I literally give up Ashton Junty, I'm going to start crying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that you got to have that judgment. I mean, one thing, too, that I've been telling everybody in the Discord is don't just sell your first for somebody that equals a first straight up or even less than a first and you're overpaying for a Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp. It's okay to take a guy on your bench like a James Conner if you have one, a Mike Evans if you have one, a Cooper Kupp if you have one, a Devontae Adams if you have one. Take a first and go get A.J. Brown. Take a first and go get Nico Collins. Take a first and go get one of these higher tier guys or even go get Saquon, go get Gibbs, go get Bijan. It's okay to get a slightly tier up in points, but make a move that's going to make your team better in the long run too. And there's plenty of moves out there like that. But one thing that I'm doing that I plan on doing is making sure that I have depth with all my cheap picks and cheap bench players that are young. And then I'm taking my firsts and I'm buying real life assets that are going to, again, make my team good for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years. And that's a trick to dynasty. You have to have, like Dad said earlier in the pod, I have Chase, Gibbs. You got to have anchor players that no matter how bad your situation gets, you have 4 to 5 anchor players that your team will always be good. And you can find Keenan Allen's, Adam Thielen's. I have a team with Brock Purdy, Jamar Chase, I had Brees. I turned him into Gibbs. And then I have Trey McBride, and then I have Kyler Murray. So I have 5 pretty solid anchor pieces. In this offseason, I won the ship, then lost. Then this year I'm the first seed. I literally filled it in with Keenan Allen's, Joe Mixon's, Alvin Kamara's, and Derrick Henry's, and my team's insane. But I acquired all these guys in the offseason for seconds and a first and a second for Derrick Henry and Kamara, trades like that. And I just built this team around these 5 anchor players. And that's my rule is 4 to 5 anchor players, build around them, fill out the roster.
And a lot of times, I want to get to this question here real quick and then talk about those anchor players. But Cameron Mayer says, I'm going to have the 103 and 2 playoff firsts. I'm thinking of packaging the 103 and another first for 101. I wouldn't do that yet. I feel like there is a scenario here where if it's 112, I think maybe. But I think, Snoog, there's this scenario where Shedeur Sanders goes to a dream landing spot, or you know, a guy in your league stretches for a quarterback and Ted McMillan falls to 3, and then you might have overpaid. So I mean, like that's not a move I like making this time of year. Move I do like making is kind of what you were talking about. I have in Smash Accept 3, I have Bijan, Gibbs, A-Chain, Saquon, Brees. Like it's just loaded. And Bijan. And then today, one of the guys put, damn, trying to get the 101, James Cooks for sale. I traded JJ McCarthy straight up for him because I blocked the rest of the guys in my league. Because in points per carry, I don't want to play against James Cook. I don't want to play against Derrick Henry. So somebody throws those guys up, and I'm okay paying my 25 first for that. And some people were like, that guy's never going to play in your team. I mean, that particular league, I have Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, James Cook on my bench now. But it's like I'd rather have them on my bench than be against one of my opponents. So I struggle sometimes with that. But this time I'm like, I'm all in. The heck with it. Like if I'm a top 2 team and someone says Saquon's for sale, you sure as hell bet I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make an offer for Saquon Barkley.
Exactly.
And I think some people say it's poaching, but I mean, there's another league where I don't need him at all, but I paid 2 seconds for James Conner. I'd rather pay 2 seconds for James Conner than my opponent roll out James Conner and I lose. Like I just can't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a tough thing too, is it's like, when you're buying a Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans right now, it's like, okay, they're like 31, 32, whatever. I don't really care too much about that. I like to follow the market and the dynasty values because there's going to be it's like the stock market. It's like crypto. There's a sell-off, right? With these vets, there's going to be a sell-off right at the start of the offseason, and they instantly will lose value. You're not getting a first for Mike Evans in the offseason. You're not getting a first for Kupp. You're going to get 2-0. When rookie drafts roll around, you'll probably get like 206, 207 for one.
And that's what we're going to buy. This game that we play, and the reason that our podcast is popular is because we point out cyclical events that make dynasty fantasy football so easy.
And they're always reoccurring. It's a cycle.
3 to 5x our money every single year. And we're trying to pass that stuff on to you. That's literally what we're trying to do. And, Corey Hunt has a question here, and I really like this. Bucky and Chase Brown for the 101. I want the 101. I think you got 2 upside pieces there, and I'm buying both. If you listen to the podcast for the last month, I'm buying both. Snoog, I bought 2 shares of Bucky Irving because I put a post out the other day, and they said nobody's selling. And I put it in the Discord, and they said nobody's selling. I gave up the 206 and the 27 first, which is mine. So it'll probably be late for Bucky in an all-in contender at Smash 16. And then Smash 12, which is the other one, I think, Smash 14. I gave up I'm sorry. It was Smash 5, my late 25 or 26 first. I'm okay doing that. I would give up anything 105 and later for Bucky Irving. That's how bullish I am. Because when you look at this class, and Snook, we were talking about it, 101 and 102, you could say it's tier 1A, 1B, kind of like what we did with Marv and Caleb. I mean, we put Caleb at the very top, and then there was another tier where it was just Marvin and Malik and Jaden Daniels. And, the only way you could lose this year is if you drafted Marv or Worthy. I didn't draft a single share of either of them, but we were trading out of those spots. We want to get into spots. The other spot you want to start getting into right now is, for me, it's 3 to 5. And that's Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. I'm not sure who you have at 5 right now, but it's either got to be, I think Hunter's in the conversation. And then I know there's a running back you're absolutely loving right now. I like Judkins, but I think there's someone that's past him.
I really like Caleb Johnson from Iowa. I know a lot of people are big Amari and Hampton fans.
Yeah, he belongs up there too.
I myself is a big Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson fan. They were actually like they're a 3. I like to say right now, because we don't know draft capital, we don't know anything. We just know production and what we have on film right now today. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson and Caleb Johnson to me are almost separated from Amari and Hampton. I think I could project draft capital will probably put them in the same tier, those 4. But Caleb Johnson, Travion, and Judkins, I think, are the 3, like, you're going to get round 2 draft capital. They're the J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, and DeAndre Swift of the 2020 class. Like they're going to be top tier running back prospects. They go round 2. I'm not saying they're going to turn out like those guys and be injured their whole career and be disappointing, but I think like you got Junty, like you get your JT, and then you got like 3 workhorse profile running backs that'll be good athletes, good production, Power 5 schools, can catch the ball out of the backfield, will test good at the combine. Analytics metrics are off the charts. So right now, I think it's going to be probably those 3 in that top 8 for me, with probably a mixture of 1 or 2 quarterbacks, Travis Hunter. But I think there's honestly a chance for me that when we do like a pre-mock draft of the first round before the combine, before the draft, that I have 4 running backs in like my top 6 to 7.
Yeah, I think there's going to ultimately be at least 6 of them go in the first round. Like there's going to be some wide receivers. I've soured on a couple of wide receivers. Burden's moved down in my rankings.
Yeah,
Igbuk was dropped down, but there's a lot of running backs.
Second, he's my wide receiver 2 in the class.
There's a lot of guys that have moved up. And Snoog, the one thing that I did, and I love doing this, like the combination of the 2 classes right now. And I want to get your opinion here. Is right now, if we drafted today, just 24 and 25 rookies in Superflex. For me, it's Jaden 1, Junty and Bowers at 2. And this is how I differentiate the 2. If it's 0.75, it's Brock. If it's standard, if it's standard PPR, it's Junty. If it's 1.5, pick your poison. I think Brock Bowers is going to create such a positional difference that I could see having him over Junty easily. Because what Brock Bowers is going to do for you for the next decade is what Travis Kelce did. And you can fill in your roster with Alvin Kamara.
I think I'd have Brock over Junty.
But what you can't fill in a tight end. Would you rather have Junty and Evan Ingram, or would you rather have Brock Bowers and Joe Mixon? And that's the value you're talking about. Malik Neighbors at 4, Caleb Williams at 5. No one's dropped farther, but Marvin Harrison Jr. at 6, Tet McMillan at 7, Drake at 8, Nix at 9. BTJ at 10, Shedeur 11, 12 Rome. To me, I think because this class was so good, no matter who the QB1 is, whether it's Cam Ward, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, they are going to be firmly behind Caleb, behind Drake, behind Nick, and behind Daniels. And I think
those 4 are already all looking good. They're all
arguably, if JJ McCarthy bounces back and is the starter for the Vikings, I want him over Shedeur Sanders as well, or at least in that same area. Depending on where
the situation,
I mean, we have this dream where Shedeur goes to the Cowboys, Dion goes to the Cowboys, and Dak gets traded, somewhere else that just kind of is exciting. And then, but if you look at that, I mean, anything outside of 103 shouldn't belong in the top 12 of this class. Like you can't tell me that there's another running back there that you like more than Brian Thomas Jr. or Bo Nix at their value.
Maybe like a Judkins, Henderson, or Caleb Johnson could be valued over those guys.
Over Rome, maybe?
Like a round 2 pick to the Bengals or a round 2 pick. I like this class for one reason. I love running backs. I feel like that's my strongest suit. I feel like I do the best with running backs always. And
this is why the rebuild is going to be great.
They're the highest success rate for rookie draft picks. So I think we're going to crush it. I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to try to learn. I'm learning. Okay, Bucky, we loved him on film. He tested like a 12-year-old boy in gym shorts. He got horrible draft capital, but the talent wins out. So this is like, I'm really just going to be a firm believer that I believe in the talent. It's going to work. Look at Achane. The talent worked out. Kendre Miller looked great every time he touched the ball. The dude just is made out of paper mache. But the talent wins out. And that's kind of like what I'm learning with the running backs is like if they get the opportunity and they're good, look at Kyron, horrible athlete. Kyron and Bucky are like the 2 prime examples of like athleticism really doesn't matter at the running back position like we thought it did.
SoulFit says, what do you do in leagues where people refuse to trade studs or rookie picks? I get told no, even when I offer way overpriced. Do you guys find that teams don't want to trade since you're good? So I think, Snoog, this is something where, I'm going to bring it up, for example, like in my one home league. It's 8 years in and I've won 6 of the titles. And I've been in the other 2 championships or one of the other. People are reluctant to trade with you, but when you create trade partners, when you create, like there are times where I've gone through rebuilds and people are like, yo, dad hooked me up with that trade. It worked out well for me. In the conversation, everything in Dynasty when it comes to trading is you don't want to be the pushy used car salesman. You want to say, like we were doing a trade where I got to pull it up in the office league that I'm in with Zoltan, and I'm sitting here, right, and we're making trades. Awesome guy, Joe Malley 1312. I make a trade to him, and here I start out. He goes, yo, he wanted to give me. I have my 25 first. He was like, I'll give you Zay Flowers for your 25 first, and I'm like, I don't really feel like trading my 25 first right now. Let's see what happens, but I like the idea of where we're starting to go with this. Then he comes back after Christian McCaffrey gets injured. I offer it straight up. I was like, well, all right, I'll give you McCaffrey for Zay Flowers. And then he counters back. He goes, well, I'd like to get a pick. So I was like, all right, I'll give you my 27 second. Why don't you throw me Will Levis? I like Will Levis. That trade gets denied because you're not allowed to trade 27 seconds in that league, right? Yep. So then I come back. I was like, all right, let's do this. I'll throw you my third and Keaton Mitchell. You throw me Levis. He goes, that's funny. That's the exact same thing I was going to offer on the other side. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Snoog, is you got to look at it from both sides. Your bad dynasty owner looks at it, yo, here's my turd sandwich, Snoog, take it. Like where the other guy looks at it and says, yeah, Jonnu's probably worth a pair of thirds. But if I give you a 26 second and I throw in this guy, can we get this deal done? You want to like think, and it's all about being empathetic. You look at the other guy's roster and you're like, what does he need?
Yep.
How does he want to go about this? Start the conversation because did that guy want to trade me James Cook today, considering my team has lost one game and I've outscored everyone by 300 points? Probably not, but it benefits his team because I'm set up that way. So I hope that answers your question a little bit, Soul, because it's all about relationships. It's all about talking the right way. It's about saying the right things. And it's saying, it's not being I can't even, this gets me mad, Snoog, when the douchebag effect where the guy's like, well, that's your loss. Or no, you want this guy. And you're like, no, like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. You piss me off. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I say to my ex-girlfriend when I'm like, hey, you're lost, baby. No, when I'm doing my fantasy trades, I didn't break up with her that way, by the way. But I'm doing fantasy trades. I want to work together with you. I want to try to make something work. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the same time, I'm not going to be that guy that ruins it.
Exactly.
All right.
101 Jake Mantra.
We hit you, Corey. We hit a couple on there. But when I'm looking at those 25 first, they're only going to appreciate in value. This is the time of year where if you don't have a trade deadline, you need to try to be buying these 25 first or 26 first because guys want to win. You want to go out there and you want to approach. Snoog, I made more dynasty trade offers today than I have in the last month. And I'm just out there cruising, making deals everywhere because this
tomorrow
is
too. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for me to go through a bunch of trades. I actually just got in a league. I got Russell Wilson for a second, and then another league I traded Najee, Jalen Coker, Jalen Warren, and 205 for Bucky Irving. I thought I got a good value there.
Yeah,
I know people value Najee still. I know Warren has value alone. I know Coker had like second rookie pick hype at some point. I don't care. Give me Bucky. I'll package up a bunch of junk on my bench for that all day.
Trading first for Bucky is different, right? Trading a first for Mixon and Mixon gets hurt or doesn't win you a championship. Okay, it stings because you just got a year older. Bucky's 22. So if you can trade it any of your first outside those top 5 for Bucky Irving, I'm going to take a shot.
I think Joe Mixon, I'm nervous with Joe. I think it could go either way. I think he could either have a tough. I'm just nervous to see how this Texans offense comes out of the bye week because they literally have the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Ravens, 3 matchups you just don't like to see. I know the Ravens are kind of iffy on defense, but they have amazing pass rush and pressure. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to just throw off everything the Texans want to do. Yeah.
I want to go back
with Mixon a little bit. I'm not starting him, but the hype's not as much as I had for him. It's an RB2 overall and redraft,
Yeah. And now Kamara is catching up with his schedule. You
Kamara has an easy schedule coming up.
you brought up something great there, that quarterbacks you can buy for a second round pick, and Russell Wilson's one of them. I think Russell Wilson's got a nice setup the rest of the season. Snoog, I am willing to go out there and, like I said, I'm willing to pay a second for Will Levis right now, because Will Levis plays the Jaguars twice and he plays the Bengals. Whoever plays the Bengals,
I
get
didn't
them
even
in
think
there.
about it. Yeah, I
Jameis
didn't even think about it.
Winston. Jameis Winston.
What's a league I need a QB in?
Hold on, man. Hold on. Week 16, Jameis Winston plays the Bengals. He is going to put up 404 again. Like, the Bengals are just the prototypical team. They're going to shoot out enough to play with you. So, I mean, I'm looking at this. If I am a buy team, I'm going to buy Jameis Winston cheap, because I think Jameis Winston's going to put up a massive, week 16. If I am a team that, needs a couple of home runs, I'm going to go after Will Levis, because he gets Jaguars twice, who give up the most. Then he gets the Bengals. You got to look at those kind of scenarios of like, okay, these matchups here, those bottom 5 pass defenses, they're giving up crazy points. If you Tampa Bay, they're giving up crazy amounts of fantasy points to quarterbacks. They're the Jaguars and the Bengals. Like, if I can line up any of those matchups, I'm doing it all day long.
Yep. Yeah, the Bengals. Anytime I see Bengals or Jaguars, I'm like, yes. I'm screaming when I see that. Or Colts. Yeah, or Patriots.
And the Colts are the other team that Will Levis plays against. Like, if I have no trade deadline, Will Levis is the best quarterback to pick up, because you don't need to play him if you're but you put him out there. I mean, Jaguars are giving up 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bucks 275 and 1.8. Bengals 250 and 1.8. Ravens 283 and 1.7. Cowboys 229 and 1.4. And Carolina 234 and 1.8. Falcons 225 and 1.8.
What about the Giants? Is the Giants defense horrible? I feel like that's Giants are giving up the Rams. Kamara ran all over the Rams.
213. So then you look at your opponents that you want to put in. Now you're talking about running backs. You want to play Carolina, and that's where getting Bucky
Saquon this week. Saquon this week is going to lock in people buys. If you have him, I think he's going to drop I think AJ Brown, Saquon, and Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It could be one of those games where every random person scores, they blow them out, and it's not that great against Dallas. But it could be a game where they all combine for 90.
And then you want to play the Cowboys, because they give up a ton. Oh, we've kind of already been talking about this. Guess who plays the Cowboys in week 15 or 16? It's Bucky Irving. Saquon in week 17. Chuba in week 15. That's one.
Saquon's gonna win championships. All Eagles players are. They have the easiest matchups in the fantasy playoffs. I think Devontae Smith's even a guy that you can get cheap right now. Flip like a Waddle, one of those type of guys. He comes back healthy for those 3 games, and he has some big weeks, and he's a guy you can flex. I think he could be league winning, but I think Saquon, AJB, Hurts, those 3 are gonna drop some points.
If you're looking right now, and a lot of guys, I'm trying to go out and buy. If I have a buy team, I'm in one spot. But if I know I'm playing in week 15 and I'm in the playoffs, I want as many pieces as possible in that Detroit and Buffalo game. Like, I'm trying to target things. A lot of people right now, Snoop, they're on the fringe of making the playoffs, and they're like, oh crap, I got Joe Mixon, I got Nico Collins, I got Anthony Richardson, I got CJ Stroud, I got Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, which, man, that's like 3/4. My Scott Fishbowl team's moved on to the next level. And now I'm missing Nico, and I'm missing Terry, and I'm missing Mixon, and I'm like, what do I do? But there's teams, Snook. If you look, if they're on the cusp and they're not there right now, I think you could give up, David Montgomery and get Joe Mixon. Because they're going to be like, damn, I need a running back right here and now. Maybe you give up Pacheco. Maybe you give up somebody a little bit lesser than that, and you go out there and you kick the tires, because there's so much value to be had. There's so much opportunity to just look at what your league mates are doing. What do they need? Let's make them an offer. Let's figure it out. And I think this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, they have a crazy. I mean, the Eagles too. Going back to the Eagles, they're fighting for the bye for the real NFL playoffs. Like, they're one game behind getting the bye from the Lions. Like, they're right there. So that's what you got to keep taking into consideration. You also got to take into consideration, like you just mentioned, all the teams with bye weeks this week. There's a couple posts I've seen on Twitter of like people literally with like their whole starting lineups gone. Like I wish I could have gotten lucky and gotten to play one of these people, because I'm literally playing all these studs with fully healthy, powered teams that are going to probably ruin my week again and take me out of contention with another few bye week teams. I hope not. I already clinched a couple. I think I clinched 6 or 7 of them, or 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 8 of them. But I'm still fighting for like 6 or 7 of them that are like right there. So it's tough because I play a lot of 7-team playoffs, so I don't have the luxury of 6-man. If it was 6-man, I'd have like 75 to 80% of my teams with bye weeks right now, which sucks. But anyway.
Sorry, I had to double take. I just saw like one of the worst trades I've ever seen just went down. Theo Johnson for Keenan Allen? Like, why? What? Yo, if you're going to put guys on your trade block, don't take the first offer. You got all week. Like that's something that's really
got
important.
An easy like second plus for Keenan.
I would have paid it. Like because I'm right there and I'm like, I missed it. A lot of times people they throw somebody on the trade block, and if they haven't gotten a trade,
sell them instantly. Yeah.
They just sell it right away. And I was like, what is that going to do for your roster? You're never going to play that guy. You're never going to touch it. A second, yeah, that's what you want. You know what I mean? You want to move yourself into those scenarios where you have rookie picks, you have draft capital. Like the other guy was saying earlier there, where he's like, my guys never want to trade. Sweeten that up. That 2-3 swap works every time, where you're like, oh man, you know what? This is pretty close. You can have my second, give me your third, we'll call it a day. And I always talk about getting it from the other end, but you want to make sure you have that opportunity to go there. I never draft third round picks. I know that sounds horrible. They're sweeteners for me, because I want to trade guys I already know. You have 8 to 12% hit rate on those third rounders. I just use them as sweeteners. It's time to move it up, try to get there into that scenario. Snoog, I mean, we brought 2 shows to you guys today. We wanted to make sure we're putting you in position to get to the fantasy playoffs, to win your fantasy playoffs, to really talk about those 25 firsts. Snoog and I are going to be hitting that hard in the Discord. Like if you look at, I have a tweet that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow, but if you look at how close we were from 2024, and where we have things are. If you're drafting today for 2024, Jaden Daniels is 1, Bowers 2, Malik 3, Caleb 4. Those were our top 4 guys. We had Marv in there too, so Marv's the only miss out of that. We were telling you, yeah, I'm glad you asked that. He said, what's on Discord? That is our patreon.com. Sorry, we didn't even mention that this particular podcast. But it's patreon.com/smash accept. You get in there. It's $5 a month. We will get you into our premium Discord. Has all of Snoog's content, all of my content, 402 knows how many people at this point, talking shop all the time. Gives you our access to what we're going to talk about with 25 rookies. It's going to give you, we're going to help you guys out with drafts. It's going to give you the prospect profiles, all those things that you guys need to absolutely smash. Again, patreon.com/smash accept. Snoog, our first round was almost perfect last year. Like it literally was. And then the only guy I would add to the first round now, Nix was real close. He was at 11-12. He's moved up considerably. And Bucky Irving, if we're redrafting today, would be a first rounder. But it was a great, past offseason for those kind of things. I'm looking forward to that more than anything. It's just getting ready for those rookies, getting ready to change these rosters and put you guys in position to dominate. You're on mute, bro.
I hit the button. I'm so excited for this 2025 class. I'm so excited to dive into these playoffs. I'm like nervous, but at the same time, like, let's go. Like it's playoff time. Trying to make some real money. I mean, I'm in some high stakes leagues, so lots on the table. My Christmas will either be ruined or made.
Yeah, and I have one where I have Lamar, and it's like week 14. It's like, what do you do if you're not getting Burrow or because let's be honest, it's got to be either Burrow or Josh Allen, or else you just keep him. You're going to get yourself. He said that's a /. Thanks for the correction. I'm a bit of a boomer. So great show. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and enjoy the process. Boom.